Today we'll be diving into the Webull investing app to learn all the most important tools you'll need to know when first getting started. That'll include everything from how to buy and sell stock, manage your open positions, customize your charts, and even how to trade options. Obviously a lot to cover, so please use those timestamps below if you do need to jump ahead to a specific topic. Also, of course, before you even get started, you will have to open an account first, and you can open one completely free either by heading to the App Store or by using my link in the comments. If you do end up using my link, you will get up to 12 free stocks as soon as you make your very first deposit, and I'll get a couple free stocks as well. But then once you've done that, you've got it downloaded and you're all logged in, you are going to see a screen that looks a whole lot like this. We'll first begin by focusing on the main navigational tabs at the very bottom of the screen, and this is essentially how you're going to get around the app. The very first one that we'll be discussing, and the one that you'll probably spend a lot of time on, is going to be the Accounts tab. Here it'll look like a little Webull icon at the very bottom of the screen, and as soon as we click on that, we can essentially see everything going on in this account right now. So how much buying power do I currently have, what positions do I hold, and how are those positions doing? Essentially, this is where you're going to come to manage your entire account and just keep track of everything that's going on. So starting at the top up here, we can first begin with our balances information. The net account value is simply going to show us the total value of this account right now. So in this case, my account is currently worth $100.65. Right below that, I can also see how much I am up or down overall in this account, as well as just to the right how much I am up or down today. Now besides that, if we look right below there, we can also see the available cash in the account as well as my available buying power. That cash balance figure is going to be exactly how it sounds. It is simply how much I have in cash in this account of my own money. The overnight BP figure or overnight buying power figure is where things get a little bit confusing, and that's because it'll generally be a significantly higher number than your cash available. Now, since my account has less than $2,000 in value, my cash available and my buying power are going to be exactly the same. And that simply means that I do not have the ability to borrow on margin. So for those of you who do have more than $2,000 and do have margin enabled, your overnight buying power is going to be roughly 2 to 1. You're essentially going to have 2 times what you currently have in account value to buy additional stock with. So if you have a $2,000 account, you're essentially going to be able to buy $4,000 worth of stock. But I will say balances can get a little bit confusing, so I don't want to spend too much time on it today. I just want you to keep in mind if you never want to borrow any money, don't spend beyond the cash in the account. But besides those balances, if we were to look right below that, we can also see all of the open and active positions in this account right now. So scrolling through here, you can see I currently have 9 stock positions. Starting at the very top there, I've got Apple, and at the very bottom there, I've got Snapchat. Taking a closer look at the very first position in the list here, if we look at Apple, AAPL here, you'll first notice that the total market value for this position is going to be $10.84, essentially how much I currently have invested in the stock. Right below that, we can see how many shares I currently own. In this case, I have a fraction of a share, 0.07878 shares. To the right of that, we can also see the last price that Apple traded for, $137.54, as well as the price that I own it at, $150.70, which to the right is why I'm currently down $1.04. Clearly a lot of very helpful info and things that you'll definitely use on a day-to-day basis, but at the very top of your screen, you'll also notice a lot of other helpful tabs besides the Assets page. The P&L tab, for example, if I were to click on that, will give us a much better idea of our account performance over time. Webull might actually have one of the best performance tabs out there, and scrolling through here is a bunch of helpful info. And I especially like this little P&L calendar down here at the very bottom. This little calendar is simply showing me how much I am up or down on each particular day. So how much money I made on each individual day going back in time. You can also see if I click on that yearly tab, it tells me how much I made by month in this account. Now besides that P&L tab, if we come up here to the top, another one you might use quite often is going to be the Orders tab. Within here, you would be able to see all of your open and working orders and also where you would come to cancel them or edit them if you needed to. In my case, I don't actually have any open and working orders, but if we come back up to the top and select the Transfers tab, this is of course where you can transfer money in or out of your account. Doing that is actually incredibly simple. So if you guys wanted to deposit money in the account, you would obviously hit deposit. If you wanted to take money out, you would hit the withdraw button. If you haven't set up a bank account yet, you would simply click on one of those. So for example, if I were to click on deposit, I could then simply click ACH and then enter my bank account details, and from now on I can transfer money back and forth between my bank account. But I think you get the general idea of the Accounts tab. If we go back here, there is a lot of great info on this page, and this is where you're going to spend a lot of your time. But besides the Accounts tab, at some point you'll want to pull up a particular stock to either view a chart or just do some research or even to place a trade. Now, to do that, the very first thing I want to do is come down here to the Watch List tab. It looks like a little heart icon. The watch list is exactly how it sounds. It is simply a list of stocks that I want to keep track of. Things like Walgreens or Rocket or SoFi, I can see exactly how they're trading, and I can maybe take a closer look at them if I wanted to. So to do that, let's say we wanted to take a closer look at Rocket. I am simply going to click on the symbol here. That'll then immediately take me to the stock profile page where I can see a lot of really great info. Starting at the top, we can see a nice little chart of the price history over time. And then scrolling down, we can see things like level 2 data, as well as time and sales. And if we scroll down even further, we can see things like the short interest for this particular stock. But you don't need to know all of this right now. Just remember that it is here if you ever do need it. What you probably will use quite a bit is the chart screen at the very top of our page here. Here we'll be able to see the recent price history of the stock, and if we look at the very bottom of the chart, it'll tell us the time frame that we're currently using. So currently, because I have a 1-minute chart selected, that means that each one of these green and red candles on the chart represents 1 minute of trading. So if we were to zoom in for a second, over here at the very last minute of trading for Friday, you'll actually notice that the regular market hours have a darker shaded background, whereas the pre and post market have a light shading. It's a little bit hard to see. But if we were to look here at the very last minute of trading, if we were to look at this very last candle here, this was exactly 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So because this candlestick is a 1-minute candle, it is showing us the trading activity from 3:59 to 4 p.m. Eastern on Friday. To change that time frame, we would simply come down to the very bottom and select either daily, weekly, monthly, or quarterly, and that'll simply change what each one of those candlesticks represents. Besides the time frame, if you wanted to change the way that your chart looked, you could click on the little candlestick icon in the bottom right-hand corner. That'll allow you to flip it to something like a line chart or an area chart or even a Heikin-Ashi chart. It's really just based on personal preference. Besides that, all of the other tools that you might want to access are going to be in the little icon just to the right of the candlestick icon we just clicked on. So right there we can see things like indicators or drawing tools, or we can even compare this chart to other charts if we wanted to. But that'll really just take some practice getting used to it. You'll just have to play around with it, add some indicators, maybe a moving average or an RSI, whatever you find useful. And then besides that, besides the charting, you'll also need to know how to buy and sell stock once the time comes. Now doing that is actually incredibly simple. And if I click out of this for a second, we are simply going to look in the lower left-hand corner and select that big blue trade button right down there in the lower left. You'll notice that as soon as we clicked on that, it actually built out an order ticket to buy additional shares of Rocket. This might look a little bit confusing, but it's actually pretty straightforward. We're simply going to tell Webull how many shares we want to buy, the price we're willing to pay, and then how long we want that order good for. So starting at the top and working our way down, the very first thing we need to do is select what we're trying to do. Are we trying to buy or are we trying to sell? Since we're buying, we'll leave buy selected, and then right below that we can select the order type we want to use. In this case, we currently have a limit order selected. Now limit simply means we are specifying a price. We only want to buy or sell this stock at this particular price or better. And in this case, the current price is $6.33. So that is the most we are willing to pay for this particular stock. Now, of course, we could adjust that price to whatever we wanted. So let's say I didn't want to buy Rocket at the current price. I only wanted to buy Rocket if it dropped down to $6 or lower. So now that I've got $6 in there, I am again saying I do not want to buy this stock unless it drops down to $6 or lower. Now, this will probably be the order type that you use most often, but you do have a bunch of other choices available to you. And if we click on the order type here, where it currently says limit, we will see a nice long list of all of the other order types available to us. Starting at the top here, we've got simple orders like market orders or stop orders, and then right below that we have more advanced trades like bracketed orders or take profit stop loss orders. Beginning at the top here for just a second, we first have a market order, and that simply means we want to buy this stock immediately and we'll take whatever the current price is. The stops, on the other hand, the other order types right below that, are generally going to be used to protect yourself in some way, to get you out before you lose too much money. Below that, the group orders or the advanced orders, I'm going to save that for another video, and actually I've made another video on that already, so check that one out if you want to learn more about those. And for right now, we'll actually leave it set as a limit order only for right now. We'll also need to re-enter the price here, so drop it back down to 6. And then right below that, I just need to specify how many shares I wanted to buy. And in this case, let's just say I wanted to buy 1 share for right now. Besides the quantity and besides the price, we can also specify when we want this order good for. So in this case, you can see I currently have the pre-market and post-market selected, which simply means the extended hours. Now, if you're ever unsure on what those hours represent, if we were to click on that, it'll actually explain it right here. So you can see here the very first one is the regular market session only, and that's going to be active from 9:30 to 4 p.m. And then if this order does not fill by 4, I just want to cancel it. The other one, however, where it says include extended hours, that means I want this order to be good for the pre-market, regular market, and post-market. So in this case, it says Webull's pre-market begins at 4 a.m. and it lasts until 8 p.m. For me, let's say I actually only wanted this good for the regular market session, so I'm going to go ahead and select regular hours only here. Besides that, the other thing I can do is specify how long I want this order good for. So if it doesn't fill today, do I just want to cancel it, or do I want to try again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and so on? So you can see here at the moment, I do have a day order selected, which means if this order does not fill by 4 p.m. today, just cancel it. However, if I were to click on that, I could also flip it over to a GTC or a good till cancel order. That'll simply mean if this order does not fill today, try again every single day until I actually buy it or until I come in here and just cancel the order myself. In this case, that is exactly what I want to do. I want to flip it over to a GTC order. And now everything looks good. So now that I'm happy with it, I will simply come down here and select the buy button. It'll then pull up a confirmation screen where we just need to verify everything looks right. And if it does, we will select confirm at the very bottom. Now that that's done, we can see the order has been submitted. It is working, but the order has not filled yet. I can see that pretty easily by looking right here where it says filled quantity 0. So right here it's telling me I have not bought this share yet. And down at the bottom, I have the ability to cancel it outright or to modify it in some way. But you're not going to stay on this screen forever. So let's say a week has passed, we haven't bought this share yet, and we need to access the order ticket to edit it in some way. So in order to do that, we're going to go ahead and hit the back button here. And we're now going to come back down to the accounts tab that we were on before. Within there, we're then going to come up to the orders tab, where now we can actually see our open working order to buy Rocket. And now if we wanted to cancel that order or edit it in some way, we are simply going to click on it. That'll then show us the exact same screen as before. And now down at the bottom, we can again hit cancel to cancel it or modify it to edit it in some way. For us, that's exactly what we wanted to do. I'm going to go ahead and click on modify order. It'll then take me back to the order ticket where I can now bump up the price. So in my case, I'm willing to bump up the price to, let's say, $6.20. I'm going to adjust that right here, $6.20. And now that that looks good, I'm just going to come down to the bottom and hit modify once again, and then hit confirm to actually submit it. We can now see that the order has been modified, and if I hit the back button in the upper left, within that orders page, you can actually see the price right here. It's no longer saying $6, it's now set to $6.20. Later, if I wanted to cancel that order, I could again just go ahead and click on it, and then hit cancel order in the lower left-hand corner, and then confirm that I do in fact want to cancel it. But that's essentially how you're going to place a trade within Webull and then later down the line cancel it or edit it if you need to. Now another cool thing we can do from this accounts page is actually close current positions. So if we were to back out of this for a second and go back to the Assets tab in the upper left-hand corner, looking here we can now again see all of our open working positions, and right from here we can close these positions if we wanted to. So as an example, let's say I wanted to close the Snapchat position. I could simply come down here to the very bottom and simply select the symbol. That'll take me to a brand new page where I can see a few buttons at the bottom, whether to just outright close the position or to buy additional shares if I wanted to. Now in my case, what we want to do is go ahead and close it. So we're going to come down here and hit sell to close. Then from there, I can decide to either just outright sell the shares or to put on a bracketed order. So in order to sell it for a profit or get stopped out if it goes down below a certain target. Now in my case, since I just want to outright close this Snapchat position, I just want to sell my current share, I'm going to come up here and hit sell to close. That'll then take me to an order ticket to sell this position, and it's exactly the same as the previous example, except this time we are selling. I could leave it as a limit order to sell it for a specific profit target. I could flip it over to a stop if I wanted to. I could do whatever I wanted. But in our case, let's go ahead and leave it as a limit. And for me, let's say I didn't want to sell it at the current price. I only wanted to sell Snapchat if it went up to, let's just say, $11 a share. I also want to come down here and I do want to include the extended hours, and I want to flip this over to a GTC order. So if it doesn't fill today, go ahead and try again tomorrow and the next day and forever until it actually fills. Now that I'm happy with that, we'll simply come down here and hit sell at the very bottom, then hit continue to actually submit the order. But that's really it. That is how you're going to buy and sell stock within the Webull app. And with a little bit of practice, you will get the hang of it pretty quick. Now moving on to options next, we will need to head back over to the stock profile page. So let's come up here and hit the little back button in the upper left, hit it one more time. Then we're going to come down to the watch list icon in the lower left. And for this example, let's go ahead and pull up American Airlines. So I could pull up American Airlines either by clicking on it in the little watch list here, or I could come up here to the search icon in the upper right-hand corner. From there, we're just going to go ahead and type in AAL for American Airlines. Then go ahead and select it in the list here. Once we get that stock profile page for American Airlines to pull up, we will simply be looking at the top toolbar here, and we're going to be selecting the one that says Options. It'll immediately take us right to the option chain, where we can then see all of the available expirations down the left-hand side. So beginning here at the 7 October expiration, if I were to scroll down, we can see it goes all the way out to the January of 2025 expiration. Looking to the right of those expirations, if we were to look down the center column, we can actually see the number of days until expiration. So for example, 7 October is 6 days from now, 14 October is 13 days from now, and so on. Once we've actually decided what expiration we want to trade, we will simply click on it, and that's going to open up the actual chain itself down the center of the screen. So looking here, if we were to look down the center column, we can now see a few of the available strikes for that particular expiration. Beginning here at the $10 strike, if I were to scroll down, we can see it goes all the way out to the $14.50 strike. Now, in order to adjust the number of strikes that you're seeing, because maybe you want to see even further out of the money, maybe you want to trade the $20 calls on American Airlines, we would simply need to hit the little filter icon in the lower right-hand corner. That'll then open up the options settings menu, where we're going to change a lot of stuff. We could also change some of the informational columns from here. But for right now, I want to focus on the strikes box at the very top and simply click on that. From there, we could then select if we want to see additional strikes, if we want to see further out of the money. For right now, we'll just go ahead and expand it to 20 strikes. So we'll go ahead and select that. Then we'll come up here and hit the back button. And now looking in this list, we can see we can go all the way down to the $7 strike, as well as all the way up to, it looks like, the $17 strike. Now, besides the strikes themselves, if we were to scroll back up to right at the money, if you were to look to the left of the strikes, you're going to see all of the available call options. Looking to the right, you're going to see all of the available put options. At the top there, you're going to see the informational columns being displayed. So basically, what information do we want to see? And right now, you can see things like the bid and asking price. Scrolling over, we can also see things like implied volatility, open interest, as well as our current Greeks. However, to change that, you would simply go down to the little filters icon in the lower right and then select whatever info columns that you like to see. But now that you have a rough idea of what it is that you're looking at here and how to customize it a bit, let's next go over how you're actually going to buy and sell options within here. The process itself is actually pretty straightforward, and you're going to find pretty quickly that it's very similar to buying and selling stock. But within the option chain, whenever you want to buy an option, we are going to click on the asking price. Whenever we want to sell an option, we're going to click on the bid price. So for example, let's say we're bullish on American Airlines. We think the stock is going up. If that was the case, one thing we could do is buy a call option. And looking here, there are a lot of strikes available. There are a lot of choices for us to choose from. So to keep things simple, let's say that we like to buy right at the money if we can. And an at the money option is essentially the closest option to the current stock price. Right here in the center, we can see the current stock price for American Airlines is $12.04, so an at-the-money call would be the $12 strike call. Looking to the left, we can see here that the current price for that call option is actually 84 cents by 88 cents. And then if we remember back, in order for us to buy an option, we have to click on the ask. So in this case, we're going to click on the asking price of 88 cents. You'll then see it immediately takes us to an order ticket, very, very similar to how it looked for the stock order ticket. And we are simply going to specify how many contracts we want to buy, the price we were willing to pay, and then the type of order we want to use. So from top to bottom, right now I'm saying I want to buy this contract. I'm saying I want to use a limit order, which means I'm going to specify a price. I can also come down here and say I don't want to pay the current price of 88 cents. I want to drop that down. And for this example, let's drop it down to the current midpoint, which is currently 86 cents. Now, for those of you who might not be as familiar with the difference between the bid, the ask, and the midpoint, the bid and ask are essentially the price we know we can buy and sell it for right this very second. The midpoint is going to be the price we hope we can get for it. We're essentially saying, come on guys, let's meet in the middle. So looking here at the current bid and ask, with the current bid being 84, meaning we can sell it right now for 84, and the ask being 88, meaning we can buy it right now for 88, the midpoint between those two numbers is going to be 86 cents. So again, for me, that's the price I'm generally putting in here if I do want to try and get filled right away. But now that I'm happy with that, the only other thing I have to do is specify how many contracts I wanted to buy and then how long I wanted this order good for. Again, for those of you new, just keep in mind that an options contract represents 100 shares of stock. So when I'm buying one contract for 86 cents, that's not going to actually cost me 86 cents. It's going to cost me 86 cents times 100 shares. So in this case, this trade would cost $86, and it does do the math for us in the lower left-hand corner. And if we were to bump up the number of contracts, it'll tell us how much this trade is going to cost. So in this case, if I were to buy 3 of them, I would be putting up about $258. And I'm essentially saying I think American Airlines is going to go up, and I want to bet on that. Now on the flip side of that, if we were to back out of this for a second, if I were instead bearish on American Airlines and I wanted to buy a put option, for example, I would be looking at the right-hand side. So looking here, if I wanted to buy an at-the-money put because I thought American Airlines was going to go down in value, I can see the at-the-money put, or the $12 strike put, is currently trading for 79 cents by 81 cents. So now in order to buy that put option to bet on American Airlines going down, I'm going to click on the asking price of 81 cents. It'll again take me to an order ticket just like before, where I will again specify how many contracts I want to buy, the price I'm willing to pay for it, and then how long I want that order good for. There is obviously a lot more to options than just simply buying calls and buying puts, but I want to keep it as simple as possible for today's video. If you want to learn more about this, check out one of my more advanced tutorials on trading options with Webull. I think it'll be really useful to you. But again, I don't want to go too deep into options in a beginner level video, so check out those other videos to learn more. And finally, the very last thing that I wanted to cover, and we'll go over it real quick, is how you can change the overall color scheme for this app. So in order to do that, we will simply hit the back button in the upper left-hand corner. We're going to go ahead and hit it one more time. We're then going to look down towards the very bottom to that navigational panel, and then we're going to hit the menu button. Within here, you can actually access a lot of other tools that we didn't discuss today, but for right now, I just want to find the button marked settings and then go ahead and click on that. Within that settings menu, we're then going to find the button marked theme towards the bottom here. And then within there, we could actually flip it over to the bright theme, or we could flip it over to the dark theme, which is really kind of a blue background, or we can use the one that I've been using, the black background. But obviously that is entirely up to you. It just happens to be whatever theme you're most happy with. And really that's it. That is the absolute basics of the Webull app and the tools that you'll probably be using on a daily basis. With a little bit of practice, I promise you, you will get the hang of all of these little tabs pretty quick, but it'll take a little bit of time. Hopefully after all that, you do feel a lot more comfortable with all the tools that we went over and just the general use of the Webull app. Now, if you do still have questions, please let me know down below and I would be happy to help in any way I can. And also, if you were looking to learn more, YouTube seems to think you'll find this next video helpful as well. So go ahead and check it out. But that's it for now. Have a great rest of your week, everyone, and I'll catch you on the next video.